Eagles and Cardinals. They played seemingly every year for like the last 5 years. That's because they have. And the Cardinals have had the upper hand in this series the last couple of years, including last year, John Brown, late in the game from Carson Palmer, 75 yards. They beat the Eagles. They'll renew what used to be a NFC East rivalry Sunday night at the Link. Mike Jurecki, 910 Fox Sports in Arizona. Always good to catch up with him. Mike, it seems like the last 5 years we've caught up. These two teams keep matching up here. And this one, again, has a lot of meaning for both teams. Some people think that it doesn't have a lot of meaning for Arizona, but they can wrap up the division with a win this week.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Palmer mentioned that they still have a bad taste in their mouths from the time they lost in Philadelphia. It was questionable calls down the stretch, but I think that's just the NFL. But, yeah, we all go back to that NFC Championship game where, here the Eagles knocked off the Giants and the Cardinals were hosting, got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, Arizona has a lot at stake. First of all, 11-2. As you mentioned, that with a win on Sunday night, they would clinch the NFC West. If somehow, some way, the Raiders beat the Packers, Cardinals can clinch a 2 seed in the NFC, and just wait and see what happens with Carolina. Right now, they're 6-1 on the road this year. Their only loss is to the Pittsburgh Steelers, so that would be a franchise record if they can go 7-1. They would also reach the 12-win plateau, which has never happened in the Cardinals' history, dating back to Chicago and St. Louis. And so there's a lot at stake, and obviously the most important thing is they've already clinched a playoff berth to get the division title, because that means you're hosting a playoff game, whether it's in the first wild card weekend, if not in the divisional round.
Mike, obviously this is a team I think is very interesting. They love the big play. The X plays is something the Eagles have been burned on, including last year. They've cleaned that up, but that's something that seems like the Cardinals have really hung their hats on, is the big play.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, and now they're able to run the football a little bit. I know Chris Johnson was fourth in rushing before he got injured. Now they're going with the third-round back, David Johnson, 6'1", 225 pounds. He looks the part. He can run between tackles. He breaks tackles. He's got to get better in pass protection. But then being able to run the football, show some balance. We know B.A. and Carson Palmer, by nature, they're aggressive. They want to spin the ball down the field. And it's just not John Brown. It's also Michael Floyd. He's played well as of late. When it comes to those 50-50 balls, he catches the majority of them. And then you throw in J.J. Nelson, a guy from UAB, who was the fastest time at the combine this year. And so they got some guys. They'll go 4 and 5 wide, but they're not gonna lay it up. I mean, play action will work. Obviously, they got to protect Palmer. That's one of the big issues this year, and they've done a much better job protecting him. He's taken some hits, but if they can get him in, third and short, they'll take some chances down the field. But definitely. They're aggressive by nature, and they got some guys that they can throw over the top on the defense. I've noticed in the last few weeks, Mike, the teams are playing a lot of cover two. And so they're saying, you know what, you're going to have to throw underneath, and he's very accurate when he finds Larry Fitzgerald in the slot. Fitz is a really good blocker. And then they got some tight ends in Jermaine Gresham and throw in Darren Fells, a former basketball player. So they feel like, they got a good skilled position players, not only on the outside, but the tight end position. And then, Kerwin Williams is the backup. Andre Ellington, he's got a turf toe injury. He was in full pads today at practice. I don't know if he'll be limited or if he's going to play on Sunday. And they want to get him more involved in the passing game, especially on that wheelhouse route if they can draw a linebacker on a safety. So offensively, they're second in touchdowns this year behind the Panthers with 47. They're scoring in the top 5. Defensively, they've done a nice job. So this is a really good football team, at least on paper, when it comes to talent.
Mike Jurecki, 910 in Arizona, Fox Sports. The Arizona Cardinals, another thing that, in doing some work this week for this game, I look at a team that loves the blitz here. And the Eagles, they like to run that fast pace. It hasn't been a great fast pace, but does that preclude the Arizona Cardinals from blitzing as often, or do you think that they will still come after them?
I think they'll still come after him. Now, Rashad Johnson, he's missed practice all week. He's kind of the brains of the defense. He gets everyone lined up. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in uniform. B.A. Bruce Arians has done this in the past where he's had guys in uniform for an emergency. So if Rashad Johnson's not out there, it's going to change what they do a little bit. Again, he's been kind of the vocal guy in that secondary along with Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu. The thing is, they really don't have a guy that can win one-on-one matchups. Now, they went out and signed Freeney. He's playing between 20 and 25 snaps a game. He still has that signature spin move, which he was able to get to Teddy Bridgewater and force a fumble to secure the victory last Thursday. Alex Okafor's coming on, second-round pick, Marcus Golden from Missouri. but they don't have a guy that can one-on-one matchups, and they play so much nickel and dime defense. They actually have a package, Mike, called the speed package, where they have 7 DBs on the ground, on the field, and you may only see 2 defensive linemen with their hand in the dirt. So they're going to mix and match, and that's just who they are until they can find out, who's going to be that legitimate pass rusher. So it's done more by the committee, rotation, and a guy like Calais Campbell, 6'8". He used to play the right defensive end of the 3-4. They got him playing now inside. And then you throw in Frosty Rucker, who's a very underrated player. He can kind of steal the edge. So I anticipate they're going to bring the blitz. And one of those guys is Tyrann Mathieu. He's playing more of a slot corner. I know he's listed as a safety, but he's in slot corner, and they'll blitz him off the edge. Also, Deone Buchanan is listed as a safety. He's a dollar linebacker. He plays in the box. So, what they're doing is taking their best talent and getting these guys on the field. And it really all started with Todd Bowles. And I know the Cardinals – I've watched that Jets-Eagles game, and, the Jets run a very similar defense to what the Cardinals are running here. And then, obviously, I don't know how much Matt Barkley's helped them this week, just kind of running the scout team and, maybe letting them know some different things that the Eagles are doing. But for the most part, they're going to have to bring the blitz if they're going to put pressure on Bradford.
Last one for Mike Jurecki here. A lot of people in this neck of the woods suggesting, as we said at the beginning, Arizona not a lot to play for. Maybe if they win, they've already locked up a spot, but they win the division. Do you sense a team that is going to take the foot off the gas at all this week?
No. I mean, they haven't accomplished anything. I mean, just clinching a playoff spot. I mean, this team has won. Going into this season, they won 21 games, but they have got to win a playoff game. And I know there's been a lot of talk about Bruce Arians, and 10-6 his first year, just missed the playoffs. Last year 11-5, they lose their starting quarterback and Drew Stanton, the backup, and so they go to Carolina with a third-string quarterback. No, they want that 2 seed, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Raiders and Packers. Like I said, if the Packers happen to lose and the Cardinals were able to win, not only would they clinch the division title, they would get that 2 seed. So that's very important. They would like a first-round bye. They would like, teams to come to Glendale where, they have a really good record there. So they're not going to let up, and they won't let up in the fourth quarter if they have a lead either.
Mike Jurecki, 910 Fox Sports, Arizona. It looks like, which is almost an annual conversation for us, Mike. The Eagles and the Cardinals, 5 straight years. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.